Welcome back to this already the final segment of The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Bryce, talking to you about you and your business. Your business to be aware of the fact that the government's really trying to confiscate your income, doesn't think you're worthy of what you've earned. Wants people who are slothful, lazy, inconsiderate, people who are really mentally crippled, but more than physically capable of taking care of themselves, but they'd rather have you do it because they think they're entitled to it. And what's interesting about that is that regardless of how polite the vast majority of Americans are, they know. You know, if you ask them in surveys, they know that this is just not a direction that we need to go as a nation. And Fox News has a great story about this. I wanted to share it with you.
Very interesting new polls that came out, Fox News polls this morning, that show a majority of Americans are sort of shrugging off one of President Obama's biggest priorities for the second term, which is the issue of income equality or closing the income gap. Take a look at some of these numbers here. 62% say that they believe that income inequality is basically part of life. 21% say it's bad, but it's also not the government's problem. And 13% are angry about it and do want the government to get involved. That's 13% at the bottom of the list there. Monica Crowley joins me now, a radio talk show host, of course, and a Fox News contributor. Monica, good morning. Good to have you with us today. What do you make of these numbers?
I'm actually very heartened by these numbers because I think what you've seen over the last 5+ years is President Obama and the left working very hard to move this country away from a free market system based on individual responsibility and economic freedom toward a European-style socialist state. And this is based on wealth and redistribution. It's based on class warfare, all of the things that we have seen from Obama's administration and the left over so many years. What has really heartened me about these numbers is it doesn't seem to be working, that it doesn't seem to be really resonating with the American people. I was very worried that he was going to get us to a tipping point where more people were dependent on government than not, that the private sector was going to shrink, and that the government sector was expanding so fast. What I see now in these numbers is that the American people are saying, wait a minute, not so fast. The United States was always a free market economy, built, Martha, not on equality of outcomes, but equality of opportunity, and we want to get that back.
I think a lot of people would like to see greater income equality in the form of jobs and helping people who are at the lower end of the spectrum to move up, rather than, you know, forcing that spread the wealth idea, which we saw in the Joe the Plumber soundbite just a little while ago. Let's take a look at another one of these numbers that we got in the new Fox News poll as well. Someone making lots of money means someone else has to make less. 12% say yes, that's right. 84% say no. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, again, another very heartening number, because the argument from Obama and his team and the left is, look, we have to penalize those who are achieving, who have succeeded, who have more. We have to penalize them through higher taxes, higher corporate taxes, and so on, in order to redistribute that to those who have less. And what you see in that number is most Americans, the vast majority, are saying, wait a minute, no, that's not how America has always worked. It's not what's made us great and the most prosperous nation on the face of the earth. What we need to do is get government out of the way to unleash the individual, unleash the private sector so that they can achieve. What's so great about America, Martha, is that we've always been an aspirational society. So we've never been involved in envy or jealousy about those who have more. It's looking at Bill Gates
anybody
and saying,
can make it here.
Bill Gates
philosophy.
has 50 billion, and you know what? If I work hard, I can be Bill Gates too.
One of the things I find interesting is that, you know, some folks in popular culture are starting to kind of sing this tune as well. Not a lot, but a few. And Bill Murray is one of them, and Ashton Kutcher also. Bill Murray, in a recent interview, said that he believes that we have to take on greater personal responsibility, that you can't look to somebody else to sort of fix your situation. And Ashton Kutcher, you know, several months ago, really made a lot of waves when at a huge, you know, People's Choice Awards benefit, he talked about opportunity. He said opportunity looks like a lot like a job. And he said, I never had a job that was beneath me.
That's right.
And we see a lot of people dropping out of the workforce, not wanting to participate, and not, in many cases, willing to take a job that they might see as beneath them.
Because government policies under this administration have made it in many ways easier to sort of not work because the payoff is so much better. And I'm not talking about everybody. There's so many Americans who are out of work who do want to work. But the culture that's been created by this administration is it pays to stay at home, or it pays to be on the government dole in whatever form. That's why you see the disability rolls exploding, unemployment still so incredibly stagnant, a weak economy. Is because the objective of the left is to lock as many people into government dependency as possible so that they get a permanent Democrat voting majority.
If that is true, if that is the objective, it has worked politically.
Well, politically, it's gotten them to a place where they never thought that they would be. Whether or not it's to that tipping point I talked about, where it's over 50%, I don't think we're there yet. And that's why this poll is so hopeful to me.
Just back to one other issue in the polls, and we don't have this one to put up, but the unemployment. 55% think that giving unemployment benefits to people who've been out of work for a long time discourages them from looking for a job. That's what 55% of the people
That's what
believe.
You see in all these studies, Martha. And in fact, I wrote about this in my book that came out a year and a half ago. When you look at European unemployment, and they have had really high, stubbornly high unemployment for decades because of socialist policies, you see that in Europe, when they roll back unemployment benefits, people actually go and look for a job. You see that trend. You take away the
incentives. It's amazing how when you don't get a check, you want to get one.
That's exactly right.
Very interesting stuff. Thank you very much, Monica.
Pleasure.
Good to see you as always.
Thank
you.
Thanks.
So what's interesting about that poll, particularly the first one that was mentioned, where like 13% said that it was wrong for the government to get government aid. I found that poll most interesting because that means that there's 13% are against. The rest, 87% are either against it for different reasons or for it. Entirely opposed to it for ideological reasons. That means that some of the people that are opposed to it are getting government money. Because more than 13% of the population is on some type of government program that is beyond Social Security. I found that interesting, but I also found it inspiring that they had that attitude. And I love the ones who said, "So what? 60% plus. So what? That's life. Income inequality is life. Suck it up and do something about it." I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college in my family heritage. My dad worked in places like the post office as long as he could. Went from job to job to job, and we lived in a low middle class environment. I've done things that nothing in my family of origin, nothing in my family history would indicate that I'd be able to do. I willfully fought to do those things. I desired to do them, and I did it. And frankly, as I sit here, in my early 50s, I sit here and I know that I could have done so much more. I had the capacity, but I chose to play a lot. Frankly, I chose to play an incredible amount, yet I've done quite a bit, and have been well taken care of. I wouldn't call myself rich by any measure, but well taken care of. And that was all because of a matter of choice. And certainly my quality of life has been higher than my parents were. And so I'm telling you, the time people spend belly aching, spent changing their lives, would be really quality times well spent. All right, love being with you today. Look forward to being with you on Monday's program. Do want to remind you, between now and then, the best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. Props to my producer, Sigmund Kramer, for helping me to put together another show. And look forward to being with you Monday right here on this station.